How's it going, Scott?
Hey, Bill, how's it going? Going well on my end. How about you?
Not bad. What do you think of this music?
Very synth heavy. I'm feeling yes. Is this yes?
No, it's not Yes. Good guess, though.
I'm just thinking synth. I don't know.
What era does it sound like it's from?
Early 80s.
Yeah, there you go. So, I'm bringing something new to you, Scott. This is something I listen to all the time. It's called synthwave. It's like a subgenre of electric music. And I found a couple random things on Spotify one day, and a coworker of mine said, "You idiot, don't you understand that this is already a giant, exploited, blown up genre?" And she shows me so many of these. It's synthwave is the name of the genre, synthwave. It's supposed to sound like 80s pop. It's that synthy, bad, synthesizer sound that you would always hear when, like, Motley Ringwald walks by with Judd Nelson and there's background music like this. Like, this is that kind of music. It's soundtrack music.
So at no point is there going to be vocals kicking in here at all?
There are some artists who, there's sound effects like you just heard right there, but there's some artists that'll put vocals in, Yeah, it's totally different. But if you like this feel, it's chill. Check it out. There's a whole world of it.
I don't know if I'm going to listen to this for pleasure. Maybe in the background. I don't know. I feel like I should be like exercising with leg warmers or something right now.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Well, see, that's the time that I left behind and went back to. Like, to me, this is more comfortable than almost like Amy, my wife, she's listening to Harry Styles and stuff like that. And I'm hearing this kind of sound in it. The new Weekend, or maybe it's not new anymore. It came out a year ago. Is this style. I think this style is getting kind of popular.
No, the 80s feel is definitely good, but like this specific thing that we're listening to right now, maybe if I wanted to get something done quickly, it sounds like there should be a montage going on right now, so I don't know.
A training montage.
Exactly. Like, I can't see just listening. I'm not driving around in my car listening to this, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah. See, I am now. It's crazy. It's insane. This is the music that's on when I go to sleep every night.
I could fall asleep to this, sure.
Oh, I love it. It just sounds like it's neon. It sounds what neon would sound like. It's like,
yes.
What's the Grand Theft Auto game we played? Which one had all
Vice
the
City.
80s? Yeah, this is Vice City.
This is Vice City.
This gives me Vice City vibes.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I like it. That was a good game.
It was good.
All right, well, let's turn it off so I don't have to pay royalties to the artist there. So anyway, that was that was the song. I think the song was Nomad City. Band is Phaserland. They got a guy named Mitch Murder. I like his name.
Mitch Murder?
Yeah.
Okay.
And one of his songs is the Knight Rider theme. Like, he just covers it. Oh, it's so good. And he covers it like perfectly. I'm like, who covers a theme? But he covered a Knight Rider theme, and he used that old synthy sound. And yeah, Mitch Murder.
My name is Michael Knight. I forgot my fucking walkie-talkie.
Shit, Weezer completely note for note remade Africa from Toto, and that hit the top 10, so why not Knight Rider?
Why not? Yeah, I hated that happened, by the way.
I agree.
Here, I'll read a couple of these names to you. So some of the big bands out there that I've heard of: Gunship, right? FM84. Some of these names are funny. Some of them are Magic Sword,
Wait a minute.
Pilot.
Gunship sounds like the dollar store version of Battleship that your mom would buy you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not getting Battleship. You have Battleship at home, and here's Gunship with
Oh, yeah. The flea market version.
Exactly.
Remember how Transformers and GoBots had the flea market version? It was like something that nobody had ever seen or heard before, but they transformed. Don't know what they transformed into. Some sort of machine.
Here's a fun fact. You know GoBots came out before Transformers?
I did not know that.
GoBots preceded Transformers and then got immediately shadowed when Transformers were so much better.
Yeah, they really were. Oh, I remember too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it really was you got GoBots. We have Transformers in my house.
Or you open it up on Christmas and Grandma just brought you over the package and you're like, oh, it's one of your transforming robots.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Thanks, Grandma. I love this new Transformer. All right. Yeah, I remember my box of Transformer toys. There was always a couple grandma gifts that were like knockoffs that she found at a flea market.
Hey, I asked for Starscream. Yeah, right. Star Shout. There he is.
I thought you wanted ice cream. Here you go. I remember asking my mom one day for a Van Halen guitar tablature book, and she got me Stevie Ray Vaughan. And I guess the V confused her. I really don't know, but I studied Stevie Ray Vaughan, and from then on, I was a huge Stevie Ray Vaughan fan. So happy accident.
She did you a favor.
Yeah. Oh, well, I love it.
I mean, Van Halen I love too, but Stevie Ray Vaughan, if you're going to try and pick up and emulate somebody, there's worse you can do than Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. God, I love Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Blues guitarists like that, my God.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, one day we ought to do a Stevie Ray Vaughan show, because I don't know that people are remembering Stevie Ray Vaughan the way they should. He's so good.
Yeah. Is any of this anywhere close to what we're talking about today, Bill?
No.
Oh, okay.
We're already way off the track. We're already way off. So before we get to our main segment, we've got some new segments that we're going to put in here.
All right.
Just brand new segments. We're just making them happen. All right. This one's called Apologies and Fuck-Upperies. All right. This is our Apologies and Fuck-Upperies. Because we said every time we do a show, we listen to it, we edit it, and we go, God damn, I fucked that up. And we're like, we got to remember the fuck ups so that we can call ourselves out and be like professionals. Like a real news organization would say, we need to, we made an error.
Retractions. We're going to retract things we've said. Yes. Or redactions, maybe.
Do you have one?
I do. For those that have been listening all along, episode 3, Weird Al Yankovic, I mentioned that the writer was a Mike Appel. The real writer was Eric Appel. Mike Appel is a drug and alcohol interventionist. So he provides a valuable service if a loved one is struggling with substance abuse and addiction. But if you want him to write a comedy movie, Eric Appel is who you should be looking for, not Mike Appel.
Not your friend.
No.
That's pretty good. I remember you told me that one. You're like, did I say this name? And I'm like, I think you said that name. And you're like, oh, shit.
Oh, my goodness. Also in that one, Eric Appel wrote the Funny or Die movie trailer that was made, and I say it was made during COVID. It was apparently made like 8 or 9 years ago. So it was like out there for a long time before they made the Weird Al Yankovic story movie.
Yeah, and we talked about that too. I just found this out recently that him and Madonna never really knew each other. And I think we said on the show, or at least I did, I probably said that I think they had some kind of fun relationship to be able to do what happened in that movie. But
no, I mentioned on you did say that on the show, and I was like, no, I heard in an interview that he only met her for 5 seconds backstage one time, and you were like, well, I have her number right here. Let's call her up.
Oh, yeah. Was that the guy?
That was good.
I remember. Yeah. If you missed that joke, you got to go back and listen to our old episodes.
I'll tell you what, since I've been, since that episode came out, of course, the algorithm has all things Weird Al pointed in my direction, probably because of all the stuff we looked up for research for that episode. And I've actually been watching some of the old MTV Al TV segments, and he actually got on Madonna pretty good back then too, where he would do like the fake interview, like he had their reaction to a real interview question. He would like ask his question. He had 2 on there about like with Madonna that were just hilariously making fun of her. Also one with Eminem that was pretty good too. But yeah, so I've been watching, still been in the world of weird.
Me too, because of the same thing. We did research, and now we're getting all these recommended Weird Al, this and that. So I got a video the other day. It was like the theme to Weird Al's failed kids TV show. I'm like, I didn't even know he had one. And it was a terrible theme. It was a Weird Al song. It was like a 3.5-minute song, and it was the opening for the cartoon show.
Yeah.
That was strange. That's way too long for a theme song.
I watched one. It was Lin-Manuel Miranda, the guy that wrote the Hamilton musical. Listening for the first time the Weird Al polka version of Hamilton, and he was so honored that Weird Al, it was like, I finally made it. Weird Al made it. Meanwhile, this guy won Tony Awards and like all kinds of Nobel Prizes. Weird Al remade his song as a polka, and he was just like, this is fantastic.
shipping charter. Alexander Hamilton.
That guy's 15 minutes up yet?
No, he's great.
Yeah, is he good?
I'm a big fan. He's doing a lot of work with Disney now.
What's he doing? Like singing?
No, well, he does a lot of musical writing. He wrote a lot of music for Moana, and also the Encanto movie. He was a big part of that Encanto movie. That was.
Oh yeah. See, you have kids. My kid's gone and old and yeah. So I don't know anything going on in the child realm.
And I'll tell you, the stuff he's doing with Disney, like there's shit my kids watch where I'm just like, oh, enough. But like when they get into that, I'm like, yeah, like I can watch this. This is entertaining for me.
Okay. Well, I made no fuck up, so
you are full of shit.
Look, if I say it, it becomes instant truth. So there's no way that I can fuck up. I just changed the world.
You edit these shows, so yeah, you could edit out anything you want, but you choose not to, which I think is even funnier. But you could play God with these shows and be infallible, but you don't. So come out with it.
Yeah. I could play God. But, I don't want people to know my secret identity.
So let's hear some fuck-ups.
Well, I can't remember any. And I got to be honest with you, I know I have none. When I said to you and said, all right, let's do this segment, I was just going to chump you because you were going to give all the fuck-ups and then I wasn't going to have any.
I do have another one. So, yeah, here I am making... I do have another one. I've multiple times called the Transformers movie, the Transformers 85 movie. It was actually 86. So I've been doing that. Small, but, I've noticed it. I fucked it up. I'll own it.
85 is a cooler number. 86 doesn't roll off the tongue. So I can understand why you would do
that. That's all I got. I mean, there was probably plenty more because we just get together and shoot the shit while we're recording these things. And who knows off the cuff things that have been said. But those are the two that I've noticed the most that have been bugging me.
Do you ever forget that we're doing a show? Like, we just talk sometimes and I forget. I'm like, oh, yeah, wait. We're not just doing a Zoom call here. Like, we're actually doing a show.
There's times when I don't know if I say something to you in real life, like on a phone call or a text message or in person, or if it was part of the show. So there's probably times where I'm like, well, I was telling you on the other show that, X, Y, and Z, but like we never talked about that on air. So it's more... I don't know when our real life conversation. So yeah, I guess in a way, I do feel that way.
Yeah, well, it just happened with me with the Madonna, bringing up Madonna and Weird Al, because as soon as it started to come out of my mouth, I was like, oh wait, I think we talked about this when we were hanging out. But wait, maybe we weren't. Oh no, I shouldn't have said anything. Now here I am talking. How do I stop? No. Power of delete. I just play God and I just have to fix it. That's it.
So this new segment is really Scott's apologies and fuck upperies.
Yeah, and a chance to just say that Bill has made no mistakes. Although I think it sounds like my audio is finally working properly. So there's my fuck ups. I couldn't get the damn audio working forever. And here I am supposed to be a professional broadcaster or a professional podcaster. I make no claims to be a professional broadcaster in any way. Well, we got another segment too. Pretty excited. We got a show with 2 brand new segments.
How's this one going to fuck me over?
This one I don't think can fuck you over.
Oh, good.
All right. So last episode, we talked about how we have a new website, toomuchcgi.com, and you can go there and you can see a little bit more about us. And it's a growing site. It's a work in progress. And there's a contact us form. And I had said we don't have our social medias set up yet. So if you want to send anything to us to kind of riff about on the show, go ahead and go and do the old fashioned email thing. And we got 2 emails, Scott.
No shit.
We got 2 emails.
Real, not bots.
No. Well, see, you outsmart me every time. So the first one came from the first one. I got so excited because it came from Christine, and it says, "Hey guys," right? So right away, I'm like, "Yeah, cool. We got a legit one." I know my message may be too specific, but my sister found nice man here and they married. So how about me? I'm 26 years old from Romania. I know English and German languages. Also, I have a specific disease named nymphomania.
Oh, baby.
I was like, oh, okay. Damn it. Spam. But that was probably the best spam I ever read.
Wait.
I deserved a shout out.
Let's not be too hasty. Maybe it's real. What else does she have to say?
Okay. Well, she says, I have a specific disease named nymphomania. Who know what it is? This can understand me better. Okay. So we had some trouble with that sentence, Scott. We had some trouble there. Yes, I cook very tasty. And I love not only cook. I'm a real girl, not prostitute. and looking for serious and hot relationship. Anyway, you can find my profile here. ... with some spammy. I'll send you the link.
No, that's okay. I think we may have found spam. Yes, okay.
Yeah, just like who like I understand that this is written overseas and they don't have a grasp of the English language, but does this junk work overseas? Because it sure as shit ain't gonna work here.
Actually, I do know some people that may fall for this. I know. Are you
serious?
I know people have gotten catfished multiple times.
No way.
Yeah.
No way. By something this junky and spammy?
I mean, I don't know how they're getting caught or what's setting the bait, but they're certainly going back for more.
Wow. Okay, we got to do a show on that. I want to know who these people are.
I'll tell you offline, but out of respect to protect the guilty, we'll have a private conversation about that because I can't on air.
Yeah, you're smiling ear to ear, so I'm starting to think it's you.
No.
This next email, I believe, is real. Although the name, I think they just took their hand across the keyboard and went, because the name is Gustalothly B. Are you watching the new Lord of the Rings show, Rings of Power?
I didn't start that one yet.
I did start it, and I was amazed by it. And I was like, this is beautiful. This is gorgeous. This is TV.
Yeah.
And then I didn't go back for a second episode.
Here's why I didn't start it. I didn't start it because I've heard really good things about it. I just didn't have the time to dedicate to a new show, and I want to give it its due diligence.
So I looked up a little bit about it because it was, as soon as I saw this, I went, yeah, I started it. I liked it. I have no reason not to go back to it. Just got distracted with all the stuff that's out there. But apparently it's the most expensive show ever made because of the amount of money that they spent to Tolkien to get the rights to do this on TV. And I think, and I never read Lord of the Rings. I don't really know the original stories. I only know the movies that came, the Peter Jackson movies. So I think this is all original content too, right?
I believe so. Yeah, I did read the first 3 books. I didn't do The Hobbit and all that, but I did read the first 3 books. I don't know that it's all entirely new content. I mean, the characters are the characters from the books. It's unrelated completely to the Peter Jackson trilogy. And maybe the scenarios are like artistic renderings. Like really the first time visually that these things have been brought to the screen. But I do believe, and again, haven't seen any episodes, but I do believe it is things written out in the books by Tolkien.
Okay, so I heard differently.
Okay.
All right. So that makes more sense you're building something off his books. I thought it was something where it's like, we're now going to take this guy's work and create our own narrative, which, is something that happens.
Maybe. I'll say this. I watch a lot of Late Night with Stephen Colbert, and he is like one of the biggest Tolkien nerds out there. And he talked about the show, and I don't think he has, if somebody gets something wrong, he usually calls it out during his monologue, like in a tongue-in-cheek, I'm a huge nerd kind of way. I didn't hear him do that at all for this show. So I think he was standing by it and been happy with what they did.
All right. Well, Gustally Fluby. That name is just this. I don't know if you can hear this. It's just.
So let me ask you this. Was that the only question on the email? He didn't give any chime in as to his thoughts or feelings. He just wanted to make, I say he, because that's not true. Did they give any kind of leading as to how they feel or anything at all?
No, that was it. Not even a reply email if I wanted to start a pen pal relationship with him.
Yeah, well, Gustafali, I'm going to start that. I'm going to start that series. We can talk about that more in the future. The people have spoken. Who am I to deny them?
Yeah. Well, send us more mail until we have a better system.
Yeah.
You can also send fucking smoke signals. I read those too. I look out the window every day. See if anyone's trying to get my attention. So the main segment today, we haven't even talked about what we're doing. And it's funny. We're talking about something because it came up from our last episode. We were talking about censorship in one of our stories, and we cut it because it just got too serious. And I forgot we were doing a show, Scott. I thought we were having a conversation, and then we listened to it back. We're like, yeah, let's cut this one out. But then you made a great point. You're like, how about we do something on film, TV shows that we remember that can't get made now, get made today in 2023. And you even cited a pretty good article.
Yeah, and this came out in Variety maybe 3 weeks ago. The comedic writer, David Zucker from 1980s, he was involved in a lot of things, especially Airplane is probably the thing he made that I'm most familiar with.
I am serious, and don't call me Shirley.
He also did some comedic writing in the 2000s with the Scary Movies. He was also involved in the Naked Gun franchise. So he certainly knows a thing or two about writing a funny movie. He had an interview here with Variety where he talks about that censorship in Hollywood is destroying comedy. I guess he says he's asked often if you can make Airplane today. And his response is, yeah, we could make it. We just have to leave all the jokes out. Because the censorship of Hollywood is denying things and cutting them and leaving them on the editing room floor. And he says even to minute levels. He had a movie that he was promoting or selling, I guess is the right word, that he wrote. It was a James Bond parody. And one of the characters in the James Bond parody was female. And she was, her titties were too big and wouldn't fit into a bulletproof vest. And one of the people at one of the studios he was promoting this to or trying to sell this to, so like, oh, that's a little risky. And he was like, that's tame. Like if you're cutting me off there's no sense to even keep reading. So that movie never got made. And maybe there's some sour grapes because I didn't buy his script, or maybe who knows. But it really, yeah. I mean, to your earlier point, we were talking about Kanye and Kyrie Irving and the censorship and everything, and it was just going to a bad place. And I thought, I don't think that's the way we talk about this. I think we talk about censorship in Hollywood, in movies, and what movies, classic comedies that they just could never remake today.
The weird thing to me is you've seen how the culture has changed, right? Remember when things were being censored on TV, like you couldn't have a husband and wife sleeping in bed together, and the first time you ever saw that was like Brady Bunch. We're not that. Brady Bunch wasn't that long ago.
We're not far removed.
Not that, we're really not. So I started to think about it as I was thinking about this segment. And I was like, what is the difference between, because there was TV censorship and there's film censorship. And as a kid, I always thought there were two different universes. And, movie stars never go on TV. TV stars can never make it on the movies. So, I mean, obviously now that's not the case. But the censorship rules are totally different, right? You have the MPAA. Yeah. They're the ones that run the movies, right? They're the ones that put the ratings on the movies. And then you have the networks, and the FCC, I guess, have to make sure that the networks stay clean, right? So you have other policing units on that side.
Yeah.
So I never really thought about how different those two industries are when they're really selling the same thing, motion pictures.
Right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I made a list of some things that I thought was probably some of the moments where, and like everything else, when you're in the weeds, you don't really notice the change happening. It's only until you look at it later and go, shit, wow, I didn't even, yeah. So like going back to it, when Morton Downey Jr. was on.
Stop with the Morton Downey Jr. You mean Robert Downey Jr.
No, I'm really talking about Morton.
Oh, really? I thought this was a segment for Bill Fucks Up.
Yeah. No, there is a, yeah. Remember, I did call him Morton. I called Robert Morton a couple times ago.
Yeah.
All right. That one should have made the segment. But like, I remember he was the first thing I saw that was ever edgy. Like, I couldn't watch that with my parents around because he was going to yell at you and call you a dirty slut. And he was going to be just mean. And I got into it because it was not because I like mean humor so much. I like edgy shit. I like people that are pushing the envelope. I grew up on Howard Stern and, hair metal and all the things that were trying to push the envelope. So that's the kind of kid I was. So I gravitated towards all of this stuff. And then Jerry Springer and Richard Bay, and remember all these trash talk shows started to happen. And it was like, wow, looking back at it from start to finish, we really did get trashy in a short period of time on TV.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't remember the Morton Downey Jr. I remember the name. I remember he had something going with Fox. I don't know if Fox signed a show for him or something, but I remember he was doing like all the intros and outros to commercials during like Married with Children or something. But I really don't know what he did. That may have been before my time.
Just he'd like to start fights. He would just get up there. He'd bring it. It was like Geraldo, but
he was a talk show host.
Oh yeah.
I thought he was like an actor. I didn't know he was a talk show host.
Yeah, no, that's Robert Downey Jr. is the actor.
Right, you are, Bill.
We should try to get Morton Downey Jr. canceled.
Who cares?
You know he's dead.
Is he dead?
Oh yeah, he died. He's dead. He's long gone. We should try to cancel him now. Guy hasn't been on the air for like 30 years. We should try to get him canceled.
You're always calling to cancel people, Bill, and I feel that you are a more anti-cancel culture person, but you are always calling for somebody's head. Where's that dichotomy coming from, Bill?
Cancel you.
You're just trying to get the publicity.
Yeah, that's it. We're just ruining lives and then trying to hang on for the free press. Just cancel anyone. You're all canceled. Everybody who listens to this show is canceled. Well, you mentioned Married with Children. I remember when that came up, like that was a big deal. I remember hearing about it on the news. Oh, this show, it's too dirty. And right home to watch it. I couldn't wait. Sunday night, I'm going to watch Married with Children because it was really promoted as being too dirty. And this is that show. I remember families starting to go, okay, we need to sort of get together and stop the filthy TV. That was the first time I ever heard a backlash to the too rough, needs to be censored type of stuff that was going on back in the day.
Yeah, but I feel like Fox was like leaning hard into that. Like they were probably the narrative pushing. They were pushing that narrative because that they wanted to be the edgier network. That was how they differentiated themselves from ABC and NBC. They were a smaller network, but they really wanted to have that edge and to capture that young audience, that young crowd.
That Herman's head, that was some really edgy stuff.
Yeah, but you know what? They started getting a lot of shit in 92 with The Simpsons when, George H.W. Bush had a real problem with The Simpsons. One of his lines in one of his speeches was, we need families that are more like the Waltons and less like The Simpsons. And like The Simpsons had like a letter writing campaign back to them. So like even politics was like coming down hard on Fox and on what they were airing because it was like deemed as less family values than what America should be striving for.
Yeah. And I wonder if it was because I don't know, did it run on different rules than the other three networks? Because there was a time, I know, for like Saturday morning cartoons that I guess it was the government, the FCC came in and said things have to be more educational. That's why you started to see things like the G.I. Joe. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe they didn't have the same standards that some of those other networks had.
It's funny you say this because earlier on you mentioned the Weird Al cartoon.
Yeah.
The Weird Al cartoon was about to be signed and made, and the networks were like, oh, they just signed this law. We have to show X amount of hours in morning television that's educational. And he was like, but we are educational. And that's how he got his show signed. He had to like change the show and say that it was educational. And he kind of used that law because they were going to back away from signing the deal. And he was like, but hold on, we're educational. This is great.
Yeah, last minute pivot.
Yeah. It's just completely talking out his ass, but it made the deal.
Oh, that's business. Sometimes you gotta do that.
It's another fun fact that the algorithm sent my way for Weird Al.
Yeah, that's interesting. An algorithm's working. You guys don't need us. You got an algorithm that'll tell you all the cool shit. You don't need us curating anything. The first time I saw things getting rougher on broadcast TV, I can't remember if it was before or after Fox started their run, but it was NYPD Blue. I can't remember if it was they showed a butt.
They showed a butt and they said shit.
Was it the same episode?
I don't think so.
Down?
I don't think so. I think it was spaced out. That also happened after Fox was kind of heading down that hill.
Yeah. I tuned in for it. I was like, I can't wait to see a butt on TV. I want to see this will be the first butt on TV. Like I was curious. I still remember that butt.
I think that was probably the other network's way. What was it, ABC? I think couldn't have been ABC. So. Was it ABC? That's pushy because that's Disney.
Did Disney own them then?
Maybe not. But anyway, I think that was their way to try and catch up to Fox and be like, oh, we can be edgy too. Here's an ass for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So once TV started getting edgier and then cable came out and started getting edgier, I think movies are now, we get to do anything. We're big and we have a ton of budget. And the way that the world has just changed with internet, and I mean, you basically snap your fingers and porn could show up on your phone. Like the fact that people are sensitive and need things censored, that somebody thinks we need things censored, is so crazy to me, because it's like, how do you censor for everybody's different tastes these days?
Yeah.
What offends you doesn't offend him. What offends him doesn't offend her. And how do you make that call?
Who's watching the watcher?
So I have a list of shows and movies that sort of, they're shows that I remember being holy shit shows that I think can't be made today.
I come at this a little bit from a different way. I didn't think too much about television. Although in doing this, I feel that TV and music especially can get away with a lot more than what movies can. So I don't know if it's just stricter police, and I don't know if that's due to law or if that's just who the gatekeepers are. But I focused on movies that couldn't be made today, and also a few movies that were remade, and the remakes were just subpar compared to what the original content was.
Well, I only got 3 shows, so I'll run through my shows, and then we'll focus just on the movies.
Okay.
The first show, I thought it was All in the Family.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember that one?
Oh, so good. So good, but for all the wrong reasons.
So that's a touchy one, right? Because it was Archie was a racist guy, but there's a lot of study that's like he brought a lot of awareness to the world. Like, hey, shitheads like this exist.
It started conversations. Sammy Davis Jr., when he was on that show and he kissed him and it came head on, like that really raised a lot of commentary around it. Didn't they try and redo an All in the Family remake that was like recorded live on television? Am I misremembering this?
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of remember something with Carol, the main guy. Well, there's Benny Hill show. Do you remember the Benny Hill show? I mean, so one was politically charged. This one was sexually charged.
Sexually charged. I just love yakety sax. Whenever you say Benny Hill, it's just like just running around, chasing women with their titties hanging out. Such a good time.
This is definitely one they can't make now. Like that was again, just like All in the Family, it was a different time. People thought differently. And now, they're not offended by the same stuff, but, they're also offended by things like this more because we're more aware. Things like this being Benny Hill and the sexual misconduct of Benny Hill. Like it was supposed to be funny that he was a creep. And we were supposed to be laughing and enjoying and following along with how funny it was that Benny Hill was a creep. Yeah, we don't do that anymore.
The other aspect of Benny Hill that was different was that he was huge on the BBC. He was bigger across the pond than he was here in the States. But historically, they censor language and violence much more than they censor sexuality.
Yeah.
So it was a lot more socially accepted over there in London and Great Britain than what it was here in the States. So it was probably more of a shock value here because that's things we don't do than what it was over there.
Yeah, I remember Channel 12 in my local Philadelphia, it would play Benny Hill at like 3 a.m. and sometimes they would forget to censor it. And if I stayed up, I could maybe see something naughty. Dukes of Hazzard.
We talked about Dukes of Hazzard last week with.
I thought we did. Yeah,
doing burnouts on dirt roads.
Yeah, that's right.
Squealing tires.
How did they come up?
Squealing tires.
Yeah, well, the whole controversy with the flag on the roof. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. The rest of the show was fine.
I was going to say, with the only thing about that show, and I'm going to belittle this, but was it the paint job of the General Lee having the Confederate flag on top?
That's got to be what I did. This was a list that I found online of shows you can't have on now, and I cherry picked. And I went, well, these are 3 that I think are worth a little bit of discussion. But these are way too old. Now I go into the movies that they can't make anymore.
Okay, what do you got? How about I go? Let me throw one out there. I don't want you wasting my list here. First thing I think of is Blazing Saddles.
Blazing Saddles.
Mel Brooks' Blazing Saddles is a it's one of my favorite movies. It it really goes out and offends everyone. It throws racism right out there, and again starts that commentary where the governor wants the town to fail, so they send a black sheriff in to a racist Western town. He teams up with Gene Wilder, and hilarity ensues.
Like, it's a hard one to watch.
It is. It is a lot of they don't backpedal from the language, racist slurs. They go hard into it. Make fun of Chinese and Irish railroad workers and lean heavy into those stereotypes and that racism.
But while you say they lean heavy into it, it's kind of like the All in the Family thing. People were that way back then. Like,
right.
You just didn't get it in movies, but people were pretty outspokenly racist back then.
They weren't shying away from it, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
That's probably a better way of putting it. It was very blatant, very out there, very, and I don't say anti-homosexual, but very. They had, guys in the chorus line, and they were very stereotypically homosexual and just portrayed in that way. Native Americans, the Native Americans let the black family go out west instead of making them circle their wagon. They had to circle their own wagon because the white pioneers wouldn't let the black family in. So they just had like a horse running around in a circle because they were circling their own wagon when the Indians attacked. The Indians see him. The Indians say, Native Americans, I apologize. Native Americans see him and they say, we're going to let him go because they're darker than we are. And, really just coming down on everything from every angle and just equally offensive, I guess, across the board. But the fact that the main character was the sheriff that was black, that was probably the most constant racist aspect of the whole thing.
Yeah, sexist jokes and racist jokes back in the day when we were young. I mean, you were still making fun of somebody, but there wasn't so much hate behind it because it was all in every movie. Like, it was just the racial and sexist jokes were just prevalent, and for some reason we didn't think there was a problem with it then. Now you look at it and you're like, holy shit, how did we not know better?
I don't think there's like most 80s movies I watched as a kid, you could bet there was going to be a pair of titties in there someplace, just shoehorned in, completely out of context, but you were going to see nips. It was happening.
I got this one on the list. It's Cheech and Chong. All right.
Yeah.
I don't even remember which one it is, but there's a passed out girl and Cheech is like trying to get with her. And it's one of those, he breaks the fourth wall and he looks at the camera and he goes, what? You don't think I should do it? Come on, I'm going to do it. How many people in the movie theater think I should do it? It was one of those gags.
Yep.
And it was just like, the fact that you thought this was funny, like, is fascinating because that is something nobody would try now.
No, that's rape.
That's rape. It's funny rape.
Yeah.
It's hysterical rape. It wasn't really funny, though. That was the thing. Like, they still did these jokes and they were never funny.
No.
But I guess they thought that was what humor people wanted, I guess.
I think, and I was in prepping for this episode, I was thinking, like, why do I enjoy Blazing Saddles? And I think it was a big part of the movie was the minority characters really making like the governor and the sheriff. I'm sorry, not the sheriff, the governor and the people in charge, the white guys, just look really stupid. And it kind of showed the absurdity of racism and just how dumb and unintelligent the racists were.
Yeah. Well, also, Mel Brooks is going to do a satire.
Yeah.
So, when I saw that, and I saw him pretty young, like I knew we were laughing at racists. It's the same way when I would watch All in the Family. I knew that the guy in the middle, what's his name? What's it? Carol O'Connor's his real name. I can't remember what his name was.
Archie Bunker.
Archie Bunker. Thank you. Like, we all laughed. Like, we're watching this knowing that Archie's a shit. We're supposed to laugh at him and be like, that's shitty shit that he does.
Yeah. Meathead was really the hero of that show and saying what we at home were thinking.
You got it 100%. That's exactly how I read the show.
Yeah.
It's exactly how I read the show as a kid. Yeah. Interesting. What else you got on your list?
I was thinking about Airplane just because of this article. Airplane's another one of my favorites. I don't think I paid as much attention to the racist and homophobic and other jokes that were in there. And I just kind of, looking back on it, made me really do a double take on this movie. Like, oh shit, there's a lot of stuff in there that they probably couldn't do today. But in my memory, until I actually really sat down and thought about it scene by scene, I was like, oh yeah, now that's not going to fly.
No, you can't do the jive talking.
No.
Yeah, like none of that. Half that nudity. I like the nudity in that. That was a PG movie. Isn't that crazy that was a PG movie and had that much nudity in it?
And here's something, and this is another something that wouldn't fly today that like isn't as prevalent as you talk about the sexist and certainly the racist, and I mentioned some things here that are homophobic. Stryker's role in that movie, the reason that he was damaged and couldn't fly that airplane, he was a soldier with PTSD. That's another minority that's not going to play well to in today. That's not going to fly as a punchline for a movie at all. I don't want to take the fun out of it, but looking back on this movie, I was just like, holy fuck. Like, that's not right. But I grew up with it.
How about he's drinking and he throws the drink on himself. He has a drinking problem.
Yeah.
Like now it's like, we don't joke about alcoholism the same way we did in the 80s. But back then it was like, bah, you have a disease. You can't help yourself. Bah.
How about Lloyd Bridges getting brought in to help land the plane? I picked a hell of a day to stop stiffing glue. Like, I had picked a hell of a day to stop. You know what I mean? Like, he was like a raging addict and he was like an air traffic controller. And that's not, and it's satire. Again, I'm not trying to pull the fun out of these movies, but these are things that they're not going to make this movie today.
Yeah. And people, more modern people than me watch this stuff now and go, oh, it's terrible. But right place, right time for us as kids. Like, yeah, it's not right now, but it's still, I love watching this shit.
I do too. So when DVDs switched from DVD to Blu-ray, and it was like the next media switch over, and I was like, I already own all these things. I'm not going to transfer my entire catalog. I bought maybe 5 Blu-rays, and it was Blazing Saddles and Airplane and 3 others that, probably on this list that we couldn't remake today, but they were movies I grew up with and I enjoyed. But looking back, I could see why they're not making them now.
Yeah. I got on my list Police Academy and Porky's.
Porky's was one of my Blu-rays. I enjoyed Porky's. It was a very underrated movie. It wasn't well received, but yeah, man. Opening, I can't say opening, but one of the earlier scenes in Porky's was the group of guys going out to hire a prostitute to lose their virginity. I don't think they're putting that in movie theaters today. Peeking in the girls' shower room in the high school locker room. I don't think they're showing that today.
No. More rape, more funny rape.
Yeah, I know. And Police Academy, same deal. Just really hardcore with the sexism. Another series where you're guaranteed to see a pair of titties at some point.
Yeah, I'm trying, as we're talking about this, I'm like, why did we think boobs were so funny? Getting kicked in the balls was so funny. Like, everything about the 80s was child humor.
I'm still laughing at a good nut shot.
Me too. That's the problem.
Are we conditioned, though? Like, is that...
refuse to grow up, I guess.
I got hit in the nuts just yesterday. It was not funny. But for an onlooker, that used to win America's Funniest Home Videos. That was a surefire winner.
Yeah, now it's old hat. How about this one? Revenge of the Nerds. That was also a pretty rapey movie, right? The Revenge of the Nerds. The nerds come back and basically do what they did, I guess, in Porky's in one scene. They have cameras set up in the girls. Yeah, that's all rape. All of it.
Revenge of the
Nerds.
Revenge of the Nerds was a better version of Porky's, but yeah, that's not happening. You're absolutely right. Jocks versus nerds and that whole trope that we kind of I don't know if that made our list last week, but it's definitely a trope. But they came back and they got revenge by raping his girlfriend.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it. I'm not easily offended, but some of this stuff, I think we really should have been better as a society to say, hey, maybe we shouldn't be.
I mean, hindsight's 2020, but I think this is, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, what's the social commentary? Like, I don't think society was the way it was because the entertainment we were shown. I think the entertainment we were shown was, made for the society that we were.
Yeah. Well, this one I never saw and I never got it because I was just like, this one feels wrong. So this is Soul Man.
Oh, this is a blackface movie.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was at a time, this came out at a time when we really should have known better.
Absolutely. This was after affirmative action. This is a movie about a white guy who wears blackface, unabashedly wearing blackface so he can get affirmative action.
Right. Right. He wants the privilege that he can't get.
Who
right?
the
yeah. Thomas Howell. Yeah.
Oh
I remember when this movie came out, I was like, that seems like bad taste. I'm going to skip that one. So I have not seen that one. Tootsie, that was with what the hell is his name? Dustin Hoffman. Dustin Hoffman dressing up as a woman for kind of the same deal to get. I think so, right?
Yeah,
for a job.
It was for a job. And there was one that went the other way where the girl dressed up as a guy so that she can get her writing published in just one of the guys, which I remember being a big hit on. Comedy Central had that on replay for quite a while in the late 90s, early 2000s. That's where I saw it. But yeah, same deal. People, now that was kind of the opposite of it because that was pointing out the sexist way that were like this editor would only publish writings from a male. So she did it that way. Tootsie and the other one you'd mentioned there with the blackface, these were things where people were trying to exploit services that were put out there to help minorities.
So much fun.
It's a great time.
Great comedy material.
Great comedy.
I now pronounce you Chuck and Larry.
Yeah, this was Adam Sandler and Kevin
James.
Kevin James, yeah. And
pretending to be gay for something. I can't remember.
They were firefighters and they wanted to get him on his health insurance. I believe it was. Oh. And they had to go to Canada to get married because it wasn't legal in the States yet.
Yeah. And that was recently made. So maybe that shouldn't be on my list of things they can't make now because that's actually not too long ago.
I think it was made to show the absurdity of how we treat same-sex marriages different than quote unquote traditional marriages. You know what I mean? I think that was to kind of throw it in the face. So I don't think that they couldn't make that one today. I think that brought up some social discussion that was needed that and I don't want to get political, but I feel that it got us where we are now with gay rights. Hey, I got one here on my list again. Sticking with movies, Animal House. John Belushi's Animal House. Just this takes the frat guy trope to a whole new level. This is a house full of guys that are just failing out of school because they're just drinking their faces off. They're fucking with the dean, literally fucking the dean's wife. It was just looking back, it was a fun time. But are they making this movie today? I don't know. He's peeking in windows, watching girls change. Another obligatory titty shot. It was for its time funny. I mean, I think back on it, and like I remember watching the movie when I was like 6. Like probably not age appropriate, but this was just another 80s movie, and this was probably a 70s movie actually. Now that I say that, but yeah. I don't think Animal House is getting made today. And if it is getting made today, it's going to be a completely watered down version that would just be an abomination of the original. And that kind of brings me over to things that have been remade that were not as good as the originals. So if you don't mind, I'll go again. They remade The Bad News Bears. Remember this?
No, I don't remember a remake.
The Bad News Bears was remade with Billy Bob Thornton. And Billy Bob Thornton played the role of Walter Matthau. Walter Matthau's Bad News Bears was so bad. So bad. Like, they kept the fact that he was drinking around kids and smoking around kids and things like this, but yeah, you're not going to be able to play a clip of Bad News Bears 1970 over top of this show without getting canceled.
Really? I have to go back and watch that again.
Holy shit. Some of the stuff they had these kid actors saying were just like ridiculous against blacks, against Hispanics, against the sissy kids who were clearly gay, because that's the whole joke there. They go crazy in on it. Yeah, and of course there was the drinking piece, but the Billy Bob Thornton thing was so watered down compared to the original material. And I think they maybe even made 2 of them, but it was not true to the original material. But maybe they did remake it today, but not in a comparable way.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's one I used to watch on like regular TV. So in Philadelphia, where I grew up, you had your main channels, and then you had these smaller channels. You had Channel 29 and Channel 17, and later on it was Philly 57 turned into CW. So those like 3 channels down below, they had nothing but inventory available, right? So they're like, what do we play? We don't have any shows. Just throw an old movie on.
Yeah.
So like I'd watch these movies and I'm like, damn, these are fucking bloody, violent, gross. Like even that movie Censored used to air all the time. So I'm a kid. I don't remember the jokes. I don't remember what got censored, what didn't get censored. But it either got, from what you're saying, it either got heavily censored and still found a way to make it on air, or they probably just didn't censor it that heavily.
I don't think they were going to be able to air that uncensored.
Interesting. Yeah, now I got to go see it. I got to see what they said.
Oh, there's some lines in there. Another one I thought of was The Longest Yard. Remember The Longest Yard football movie?
I only saw the remake. I didn't see the Burt Reynolds version.
Burt Reynolds' version of The Longest Yard was a lot more edgier, if you will, inappropriate wise, than the Adam Sandler Burt Reynolds remake.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a different time. People like to push the envelope.
It was still the same premise of, Texas prison. They have an annual football game where it is inmates versus guards for a football game. Bruce Reynolds is incarcerated. He is a professional football quarterback. He has to rally his troops.
You said Bruce Reynolds. I love that you said Bruce
Reynolds.
You said Bruce Reynolds. Oh my
Burt
goodness.
Reynolds. Oh fuck, Burt Reynolds. Save that one for the next apologies and fuck upperies. Because I know your list is going to be clean.
I don't make mistakes.
Bill is infallible. Burt Reynolds was a quarterback. Yes.
Yeah.
So same premise, much different comedy.
Yeah.
For a more modern time, I guess.
Different time.
But here's the thing, and I think this is the overall, like the farther arching question above all this is, better, worse, just different. I don't know. Like I feel that these remakes didn't land with me as true as the originals did. But at the same time, parents and kids probably shouldn't be watching the original material based upon what we're talking about here. Or should they? It's up to them. It's the censorship thing that we talked about before.
Yeah, it's kind of what we said earlier. These things are made, they're time capsules. They're made in the time that they're made in.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. They're made to represent the time they're made in. It makes a lot more sense. And it's just not the time now. So when they go remake these movies, sometimes they're like, we can't take this charm with us and that charm, but we have to replace it in this remake in 2010 with this charm or that charm. And they try to put in a new charming aspect, and it just doesn't work. It never works. Don't remake movies.
Yeah, I mean, it really goes back again. I don't think the society was the way society was because of the entertainment we were provided. The entertainment we were receiving was designed and created for the society that we were.
Yeah. There's a lot of theories that, the media is a reflection of society. And then there's equal theories that say, media is leading society. So if media is putting really violent stuff on, it leads to a violent society.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that was always the argument. And this is something that probably hit closer to home for me growing up, late 80s, early 90s with video games. Like they wanted to come down hard on Mortal Kombat and bloody video games and talk about bloody video games desensitize children to violence, and then kids become more violent. I don't feel that I was any more violent because I played those video games. I kind of wanted to play them because everybody was saying that I wasn't supposed to.
So I'm at the point now as an older person, as an elder statesman of the planet, 47-year-old. I look at some of the stuff that I used to defend and go, maybe I used to love Mortal Kombat, but that was the thing. I could handle it. I wasn't going to go out and do something fucking stupid to somebody because of a Mortal Kombat game, but somebody could. That's the problem. That's the scary shit. So I got a movie on this list. It's called I Spit on Your Grave. It's a horror movie. Do you know this one?
I've heard of it.
It's the most brutal. It was made in the early 80s or late 70s. So it's got that like Texas Chainsaw Massacre feel where it looks like found footage almost.
Yeah.
And this woman just goes to a cabin to write a book and 3 or 4 dudes rape her. And then she goes and kills each one of them. And the rape scene is beyond what you would ever think you could see it on a big screen in a movie theater. It was fucked up. Like they can't put that on now.
Hell no.
Different time. I don't even know why people could handle it then. We can't handle it now.
It's funny though. The premise of that movie sounds like the Kill Bill series. Not the brutal rape, but I feel like Quentin Tarantino took that premise and turned that into Kill Bill Volumes 1 and 2.
Well, yeah, actually, would you say that? Yeah, more or less, because it was just like that. She kind of hunts somebody down and then hunts somebody else down. Yeah, that's how this went.
Yeah. And
my last movie that I have on this list is Pretty Baby.
I don't know this at all.
All right. So every once in a while, I'll mention this to somebody and I'll say, I don't know about this movie. It was to a point where I thought I invented this movie in my head. So my neighbor growing up had this movie and she would always tell me, she's like, oh, it's so dirty. It's so dirty. Okay, I won't watch Pretty Baby. So Pretty Baby had a 12-year-old Brooke Shields playing a prostitute.
My God.
Susan Sarandon was in the movie. I remember the box cover. Haven't seen it. Remember, I haven't seen it. But apparently Brooke Shields is naked as a 12-year-old in this movie.
Ugh.
So I don't know when those laws went into place where, you can't have, nude children on film. But this must have came out before it. And I was just like, so there's a movie out there that's just, can you rent it now? Like, can you go to Amazon and get Pretty Baby?
I've never heard of this.
Yeah. Yeah, I've just always known that this movie existed. I've heard Brooke Shields talk about it. So that it definitely exists. I definitely have it right.
I mean, I feel like this is like getting into like an area of taboo that like Hollywood should have never gotten into. You know what I mean?
They played in those playgrounds back in the day that we won't play in now.
Good. I mean, I'm glad we don't.
Yeah. Well, unless it's horror. It seems like we can have Squid Games all day long.
Yeah.
And show you some of the most horrific torture scenes you've ever seen in your life. That's fine.
Yeah.
The rest of it, we got to stop. I'd be good stopping some of them torture porn too, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Well, do you have any more on your list, or should we get into the news?
Let's do some news.
All right. So I got a bunch today. Let's move through them fast since we're coming up on the hour. All right. Exclusive. Scott, I got an exclusive. Kurt Russell returning for Escape from New York sequel from Scream directors. This is from giantfreakingrobot.com, so I have no idea.
Yeah.
Kurt Russell is set to return to the role of Snake Plissken for a new Escape from New York sequel by Radio Silence, the filmmaking collective behind the recent Scream reboot. How much do you know about this, the whole Escape from New York?
I remember Escape from New York. I remember Escape from L.A. I know Snake Plissken. I watched them. They were okay. They were never anything. I know they meant more to some people than they meant to me.
I love them.
Yeah.
I love the first Escape from New York. It's a John Carpenter movie.
Yes.
Right. It's right around the time where he made Halloween. It came after Halloween.
He used the same sound director, I remember.
He is the sound guy.
Oh, it
John
was
Carpenter
him.
makes his own
Okay.
music.
Okay.
Yeah. And talk about synthwave, which is, by the way, the reason I had synthwave going. So he's still making music, I believe. I saw it on Spotify, and it's synthwave. He still composes synthwave. But like the Halloween score,
yeah,
synthwave, and you know the stuff in this movie. There's heavy synthwave in this movie, so that definitely adds to some of the charm.
Yeah,
but I love this movie. The second one, I can't explain the second one.
L.A. Yeah, I remember L.A. better than New York, and I think that's why I was kind of like yeah. So that happened, but okay, whatever. When you told me they were making a third one, I was like, but you said it was a sequel to Escape from New York. Are they forgetting that Escape from L.A. happened? They're writing that one out of there?
Well, I mean, a sequel to Escape from New York is the second, third, fourth, fifth movie.
I guess.
But I don't know. I didn't see the Scream reboot. I never liked Scream. I saw the first Scream. I said, it's clever. I saw the second Scream. I said, that was shitty. And then the third one, I was like, I lost track. Like, I just gave up. So I know that new Scream came and went, didn't even think about it. So I don't know who these, I don't know who this radio silence is, but you better not fuck this up because I really like Snake Plissken.
All right.
Well, have you seen these, you know Hasbro. Hasbro makes those amazing action figures.
Well,
G.I. Joe. Come on, we know Hasbro. We had Hasbro as a kid.
Yeah. We used to Hasbro. I thought Kenner. But yeah, you're right. They were different.
So Hasbro has a selfie series.
What does that mean?
Literally, you send a picture of your face and you say, put me on the Darth Vader. Well, that would be Kenner. Put me on the Ghostbuster action figure or put me on the Marvel action figure, whatever they make. So you can get your face put on a action figure of like Spider-Man or something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
You know,
gift.
I feel like Funko Pop was doing this. Now, Funko Pops aren't necessarily as like true to life as what an action figure is nowadays, but I know they've been doing some personalization stuff.
Yeah, but those are like big heads.
I know.
Like, you'll really look like, you know, the character who's, you know, shooting webs out of his wrists.
I don't know. To call it a selfie series, they're clearly going after a certain market that I'm not.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of these. I think I want some of these. Like, here's I'm just reading an article in Gizmodo. Like, here's the author of this article dressed as Luke Skywalker from Hoth. Yeah, I don't know. It's not that great, to be honest with you.
Here's what we'll do. When we reach 5,000 subs, we'll get these. You and I. Well, it'll be our celebration. We'll treat ourselves to some action figures.
Well, hopefully they get better at the fucking faces because this ain't so good. Hoofa toofa. Oh, man. These don't look like real people.
You remember McFarlane toys? McFarlane did the Spawn series and stuff, but then they got into doing some other movie lines and stuff. Like, I remember they did the X-Men when the first X-Men came out from Fox. Really looked like Hugh Jackman. They were like fantastic facial captures. I can't imagine they can't just do that for these.
There's a YouTube series called Toy Galaxy. I feel like I even mentioned it before on the show. Well, they'll go back and they'll show some of the toys that we grew up with and like just kind of revisit them. And yeah, you look at these now and you're like, wow, some of those were terrible molds. Like,
yeah.
How did I ever think that looked like Han Solo? I don't know what I was thinking.
I just watched a guy on YouTube show off his Batman '89 collection, his toy collection that was put out by Toy Biz, and then Kenner did take over from Toy Biz, and he was really, I'll say, it's Random Land with Justin Scard. I mean, I think his stuff's hilarious, but he's showing off his massive Batman '89 collection, and he really does show like the mold where it went from like some generic comic book Joker to like the Jack Nicholson Joker.
Oh, you almost got to sound
not the golfer, but the actor. Yeah. But you're right. To your point, looking back on some of these things that we cherished and like hunted for, and it's all we asked Santa Claus for. Looking back on now, it's like that was a turd.
Yeah, not a good toy. Remember Megatron? Remember I got Megatron for Christmas, and he transformed into this like pitiful looking robot. It's like there's no way this thing is actually going to fight Optimus Prime. It barely has legs.
I always thought it was dumb that Optimus Prime turned into a truck and he turned into a gun. Who holds the gun? They had Soundwave hold the gun in the cartoon, but
that pissed me off too. Whenever you'd see like Megatron would transform into a gun and then shrink.
Yeah.
Or like Jetfire would transform into a jet and get real big and all the Autobots could go into it. Like, what the fuck?
You know what? That's a toy they couldn't make today. They couldn't make a Megatron toy because kids can't have guns.
Yeah. I mean, it looked like a real pistol.
Yeah.
To me. A kid who didn't own a pistol. Stranger Things director to helm the next Karate Kid. Jonathan Entwistle recently attached to direct the Lost Boys remake. Whatever happened to that is set to direct Sony's reimagining of the Karate Kid, according to the Illuminati. Well, that's a good name for.
That's a good name. That is a good name. Yeah. I think I'd rather see that Lost Boys remake than I would the and this is a Karate Kid movie, not another Cobra Kai.
Yep. So this news is from moviehole.net. The site says that although the new film shares no ties with the original trilogy or TV's Cobra Kai, it also isn't a redo of the original, and neither is it intended to replace the movie series we know. Those films still exist in this world.
What did you feel about the Karate Kids, the one with Jaden Smith, and then the other one with
Hilary Swank?
Hilary Swank, yeah. I was going to say the girl from Boys Don't Cry, but what do you think of those Karate Kids?
I was punched out by then.
You were
I was
done?
In college. Yeah, I was watching other stuff.
I thought they were pretty good. I mean, I think the Jaden Smith one, more recent. I of anything I've seen with Jaden Smith, that's the one that I'd be like, I'd watch that again. Jackie Chan was Mr. Miyagi.
What happened to Jackie Chan?
Yeah, we talked about him. I don't know.
I heard he got a disease called nymphomania. New Alien movie gets exciting cast and filming update. Disney and 20th Century's new Alien movie from director Fede Alvarez. Fede, I'm not good with names.
Never heard of him.
Gets some exciting cast and filming updates as the film picks up momentum. So this guy, I know the name. I've never tried to say it out loud, but he makes he made the Evil Dead remake. He made it's pretty violent stuff that this guy makes.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm done with Aliens. I think I'm done with Predators. I think I'm done with all these things.
I think the last of anything I watched in this universe was that Prometheus movie.
Oh, you actually made it through that?
No. I watched it. I didn't complete it. I was like, I don't know what's going on here. And they're like, oh, this is the ship that they went into in part 1. And I'm like, you know what? This is not for me.
Yeah, I think by the time that movie came out, I was like, I've seen enough Aliens.
Agreed.
So we Hollywood, we hereby cancel your new Alien movie. This one's a weird one. Thor star Chris Hemsworth announces he's taking time off from movies. Thor actor Chris Hemsworth revealed he will be taking a break acting. He will be taking a break from acting as his predisposition to a certain disease leaves him wanting to focus on family. You hear what's going on with him?
No, this is the first I heard of this.
Yeah, so he found out doing one of his shows. He's got another show on Disney called Limitless.
Mm-hmm. Limitless is where he is going out and doing facing his fear of heights or facing a fear of you name it. But it's a series where he goes out and really pushes himself to do some serious, in real life, fearful type things.
Yeah, like he's one of them physical dudes.
Yeah.
And supposedly that scene in the new Thor movie where he was taking them ropes and whipping them, those big old ropes, like that's like part of his real life regimen. And the joke is watch Thor do what he does in real life. That was the gag that was so inside nobody does.
So what did you find out while doing Limitless that has him walking away?
So it says here, Chris Hemsworth has discovered he has a significantly heightened risk of developing Alzheimer's disease due to a genetic factor, prompting the Thor actor to take some time off from acting.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's sad to hear. I didn't realize that they had Alzheimer's to the point where they could pinpoint genetic traits and make things that would make you think you're predetermined or more inclined to have it.
Yeah. Who knows these things?
I mean, I'm glad that he is taking it serious and spending more time with the family. I think that's important.
How do you think he found it on the show? You think that's real news? Like, well, how did the show help him find this?
I don't know. I haven't watched the show, but I mean, it could be something where like he got vertigo and people with vertigo. I mean, I don't know. I'm spitballing here, but maybe something happened on the show where maybe he lost consciousness. Maybe he needed to have an MRI. Maybe something happened that led to something that was just like, oh, this could be a problem.
Man, Alzheimer's is my biggest fear.
Yeah.
So afraid of it. I have such a bad memory now that I know it's going to be bad. Like one day I'm just not going to remember anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know it's going to happen to me. Yeah, I saw it happen to a couple of my family members. So isn't that stuff hereditary?
Yeah. There's certain genetic markers, I believe, but I didn't know that they pinpointed like which ones they were. I know that like a family history is an indicator and a higher risk of concern, but that's not something he would have figured out while doing Limitless. You know, like you know if the people in your family had it.
Yeah. What were we talking about?
Your news story was Chris Hemsworth walking away from
Alzheimer's.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Here's another one coming out of the direct.com, whatever the fuck that is. Armor Wars goes from Disney Plus to movies. It was too big an idea is what they're saying.
I saw this.
So Armor Wars is what, right? It's Marvel's, it's a sequel to Iron Man without Morton Downey Jr.
Armor Wars was a crossover comic that was, after Tony Stark's death, other people donned the Iron Man armors, and some good, some bad, and Armor Wars, they were fighting over it. So not different from Civil War, but this was all armor focused. Spoiler for Black Panther 2 that just recently came out, but there is an armored character in there. And this Armor Wars show that's coming out. And I've seen Robert Downey Jr. in the preview so far, I think, as a flashback, or at least he's been mentioned in flashback type things. I guess I haven't seen him. But younger, newer people are going to don the armor. And that's going to be part of this next phase of the MCU. Really?
I'm good and done with armor.
I feel like Iron Man 3 had a lot of different armors and Gwyneth Paltrow wearing armor, and it felt way short for me. Like, I feel like maybe you shouldn't have put that as a big part of Iron Man 3, which was like one of the worst ones, in my opinion, if you wanted this to be the next phase.
Yeah.
I feel like you shot your load there, Marvel.
Yeah. Well, it says here, so they said it was too big an idea. So that's confusing to me. If it's too big an idea, why put it in a 2-hour movie and not an 8-episode Disney Plus show?
More money.
This sounds like bullshit.
Well, it could also mean that they don't have any other better idea to take their movie franchise forward. So it's like, oh, this is what we got. And it was going to be this, but we could make it that.
I don't know. I don't care about Armor Wars. All right, here's something. Are you a metal guy?
I'm not a metal guy like you're a metal guy. No.
How about Metallica? Were you ever into Metallica?
I was. The Black Album, of course. That was kind of a staple growing up. But I think metal, I think like Black Sabbath. And I think harder things than Metallica, I think. But at the time, that was the only metal around, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, once upon a time before the Black Album, Metallica was pretty fucking heavy.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Kill 'Em All, and yeah.
So, do you know that Metallica used to have Dave Mustaine in the band? Dave Mustaine left Metallica and started. Okay, so you know that Megadeth and Metallica have always kind of been at odds. And,
yes.
All right. So, evidently, it has been reported, and I read this in Guitar World, that Dave Mustaine opens up on his failed James Hetfield reunion. The pair were in talks over a new project, but discussions fell through due to a disagreement over a publishing discrepancy. Man, the fans would have loved that. They would have loved that. But these two guys can't get it done because of money.
Yeah, that's a shame. I mean, money ruins a lot of good things. I guess when I was saying about, I think back on Metallica now and like they weren't metal. I'm thinking like the Loaded album and then the Reloaded album and that horseshit that they came out with in like 90s and 2000s. You're right. Black Album and before was pretty heavy. So I take that back. But I would have liked to see more of that. I like Megadeth.
Yeah? Do you?
Yeah.
I do too. I love Megadeth. Like, I'm a legit Megadeth fan, and I will go so far as to say I think they're better than Metallica. I'd be killed for saying that.
That's a hot take.
Yeah, it is a hot take. Metallica had a great, holy shit, nobody's heard anything like this beginning. And then for me, they got kind of dull. Megadeth still makes songs that I kind of get into. I'm not listening to any more Metallica, but I still like, hey, Megadeth's got a new album out. Let me listen. right, I got one more news item for us here. This one I think you're gonna especially laugh at this one. You're gonna be like, why do you pick this one? William Shatner on why he still enjoys conventions but has lost patience with a certain Star Trek co-star.
George Takei.
Oh my.
Oh my. I actually read this article. This came up in my news feed and I read it. I knew who it was going to be about, and that's probably why I read it. But yeah, all right, whatever.
I think they're the last two guys alive from Star Trek, and they hate each other. It's the funniest story that these two guys, they're fueled by hate.
Yeah, but I feel like William Shatner was making the news for going to space with Jeff Bezos, and are you done talking about that already? Now you got to go back and talk about George Takei and Star Trek. Like, why? Why is this news?
I think it's more that he's George Takei can't stop talking about him. Yeah, you don't listen to Stern anymore, but
I know.
He used to have Shatner on and Takei on, and he would always try to.
Wait, they had them on at the same time? I never heard them on at the same time.
No, I misspoke. They'd have them on individually. But now what they're doing, but of course Stern riles up Shatner. What do you think about this Takei guy, right? He'll say the same thing to George Takei. What do you think about this Shatner guy? Get them all worked up, and it's so much fun to listen to these two just shit on each other. But really, Shatner really is look, I don't know why this guy is still holding a grudge. That was decades ago. I've done a million things since then. He's got to get on with his life. Kind of got a point.
I do see that. I do. That's a great story, though. You know what? I talk shit why is this a news story? I fucking clicked on it.
Yeah, so did I. I was like, these two guys are still feuding. I can't believe it.
Oh my God. I guess it just shows we love drama. Human beings love drama. It's fueled by it. This is what reality television is fueled on.
Yeah. I like to believe I'm above it, but I'm not above it. I'm irrelevant.
And you know what? I'll bring this full circle. This is why we watch the fucking Morton Downey Jr.'s and the Jerry Springers. And this is why we want the drama. We love the drama.
We love it. We love the drama. We love when it's other people's drama. It's not ours. I get to turn off the TV and then none of that shit's my problem. God bless TV and movies. And this was a good show. I like the show. I wish, in hindsight, you made a good point early on. I wish we brought music into it a bit. So it'd be interesting to do something similar to this with music. Maybe for a future show.
That could be a future show. I mean, I could talk a lot about, growing up, 12, 13, I was listening to a lot of Snoop Doggy Dogg and Dr. Dre and shit like that. And they really got hit hard on by the FCC and the explicit lyrics logo they had to put on anything that had swear words on. We have to put an explicit logo label on our show here when we put it on the podcast.
Yeah, we do. We got to make sure that we're doing the right thing here on this show.
And, I've been trying to do a better job of not swearing as much, but, I want to keep this authentic, and I'll throw a fuck in when it's warranted. And it's pretty fucking warranted pretty often, apparently.
You got balls, man.
I've got balls of steel.
Yeah. Duke Nukem's right.
Oh, Duke Nukem. That is back to the video games. Duke Nukem got censored.
Did that game get censored?
People had a problem with it. People had a problem with it. People have a problem with everything. You can find somebody that has a problem with everything. There's not one thing for everybody. And to your earlier... Go ahead.
No, you go.
And to your earlier point, I feel that's, who's to say what's right for what? And what offends you doesn't offend me, and what offends him offends somebody else. Who's to say? It's not hurting somebody. Right. Let it go.
Well, that's what I say. I stole this line from Frank Zappa. I say, do whatever it takes to have a good time as long as it doesn't hurt other people.
It's a good line.
And now, we see a lot of the stuff that we used to endure in the 80s and thought was harmless maybe had a long-lasting effect, and maybe we shouldn't have done it. Okay. So I get why there's changes.
You're right.
No, I think I'm okay with the changes because they're changes that are really there to protect me. I wish we weren't so fucking high-strung as a society now. I like the old days. But I understand why we are. Yeah, our society needs a little bit of help. But we have fun movies and TV and music and pop culture to distract us, and drama to distract us from all the really bullshit that we just don't want to have to face.
I feel like we were... Again, I said on a number of those movies that you brought up and that I brought up that I feel like it raised social discussion. And now I feel that what's missing today is the discussion. It's yelling and pointing and you're a racist and labeling and this and that and you don't understand me, you don't respect me. There's no discussion. There's no level meeting place.
I agree with you 1,000%.
It's actually something that Dave Chappelle mentioned in his monologue with Saturday Night Live the other week. And when I first watched that episode, I thought, man, Dave, like you're out of line here. But I do think I understand what he's saying. It raises discussion. If we can't discuss things and we act like they don't exist, then Archie Bunker can still sit in his living room spouting off his racist bullshit.
Right. It's a great way to end this show with a strong statement like that.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm a white middle-aged guy. I don't know if I'm the guy you've been talking about this, but to your point, we got some great entertainment out of it. Looking back, time capsules of their time. Yeah.
It's all about going forward. It's all about making the changes to be better people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We've learned. Thank you, Hollywood, for teaching us that we were awful human beings, and now we're doing better. Right? We're doing better.
I don't know.
I wake up, I read the newspaper. It looks like things are going great.
Yeah. I mean, we still have people burning Harry Potter books and getting books banned from school libraries. So I don't know, man. I don't know. But again, you're always going to find somebody that has a problem with something. The trick is meeting in the middle. You can't just cut things out because you don't like what they say. We have to have a conversation around why what they say is a problem and is bad.
Yeah. Conversations. Like we're doing on a podcast.
Like we sit here and shoot the shit. But, I mean, we're not changing the world. But if more people would talk, I feel there'd be a lot more understanding from where other people are coming from.
Right now, I think people are sitting in their cars talking to themselves going, I thought these fuckers were ending this episode about 5 minutes ago. Thank you, everybody, for checking it out. Too Much CGI. If you go to toomuchcgi.com, you can find out more about us, and you can follow us on all the different platforms that we're on, and you can send us some fun email. Read it and have some more fun next week with you. So, signing off, it's my pal Scott. I'm Bill. See you next time.
Thanks for listening.